Hi guys! It's my channel's birthday. That's right, it's now 1 year ago this month that I posted my very first video. Most of my dolls have either been given away as gifts or for swaps, and I've sold a number of them now too. I have a few who sadly have been relegated to my closet, but since it's my channel birthday, I thought it might be fun to go through my journey as a doll customizer on YouTube. Back in July of 2018, I'd seen a lot of videos for doll customizing, and I had been following Delightful for quite a while at that point, so I finally took the dive and made my first doll. I have a very dear friend from college who does roleplay for her hobby, and she has a number of cool characters, and I think I mentioned it in the video, but I was super worried about not being able to make the doll look like, anyone or anything, so I chose one of her characters that had a very defining facial feature in the hopes that as long as I painted on that scar, you'd get the idea of who she was supposed to be. For a first attempt, I still think she came out pretty good. The second doll I made was Penelope Page, and since she's been bought and shipped off as well. In fact, I only have one of my original dolls still with me, and that's Agnes here. I used the Pastel Girl app to design her outfit, and I think she's maybe one of my favorite color palettes. She's just so bright and colorful. And she was my second video that came out that I made in time for Halloween. Saffron was the next doll I made. She was my first Hogwarts house mashup and the first doll that I really liked. I remember making her and going, wow, if I can make faces like this from now on, I'll finally be an artist. Of course, that was followed up by my first and only doll with inset eyes, the Sugar Plum Fairy. I mentioned in her video that I wasn't wild about her face, and I've gotten some really kind feedback on her. I think the inset eyes are really tricky, and I do want to try them out again, but I'd be lying if I said they don't still make me super nervous. The next doll was another gift for a friend, and another Penelope. I let my friend name her, and that's his favorite name, and I believed he helped me with the first Penelope too. She was supposed to be an alpaca, since that's my friend's favorite animal, but the base is a Catrine Demue, and I was really struggling with that kitty nose and the kitty ears. I probably should have cut off her ears and given them a more alpaca, oval-shaped appearance, but what can you do? By the time I finished the alpaca, it was Christmas, and I got a fancy new airbrush, so obviously I painted my very next doll. She was a Laguna base who got a human skin tone and some cute ram horns and became Kiko Kitagawa. She was also my first giveaway doll. Around this time, I also got my hands on one of the coveted 17-inch Monster High girls. I made her into Persephone, goddess of spring and queen of the underworld. These big dolls are gorgeous, and I love the range of poses you can get them into. Some of you might notice that I haven't put her up for sale on my Etsy yet, and that's because I have some plans for her Hades. But that's a surprise for a later time. My next doll was Gia Grimwood, my second Hogwarts house mashup. And I really liked her Quidditch uniform, and she's one of maybe only 2 dolls of mine that wear pants. What can I say? I really love skirts. Dahlia was my first YouTube collab doll. I made her with Jacob from Blank Space Dolls. I actually had a huge problem with her. I did the whole face up and put on the very last layer of MSC, and I don't think I shook the can enough, because it left this crazy white residue all over her face. I had to wipe the whole thing and start again. It was probably a good idea though, since the second time I did a much better job, and she came out really pretty in the end. Zamira was my first fantasy skin color since she's green, and I think that was really good for me. I do tend to prefer human skin tones, but I think this was fun since it was such a colorful design. I get a little wrapped up in my designs and trying to make them look very realistic, and I really need to try pushing out of that. My mermaid is a little more fantasy than usual, and I think every Oak doll collection has to have a mermaid. I have more plans for more mermaids in the coming weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Next was my Ravenclaw girl and my first house girl from the series. So far, she has no friends. I really do need to make another girl for her to be buddies with. Do you ever feel like you have so many ideas and no time to execute them all? Ah, Valerie Vachon. She's one of my favorite dolls. It's starting to get cool where I am, but every time I look at this girl, I feel like I'm heading out to the beach. She was made for Delightful's Tropical collab, and I just love her to bits still. Who doesn't love a vintage hairstyle and a red lip? Here is my kitsune for a swap I did with a friend from Discord. This was the first time I custom printed a fabric, and I'm so happy I did because I think it came out just right. I also think this is my favorite hair color to date. And lastly, I have my most recent doll, Hele. She was made as part of a collab with another doll YouTuber, Fantasy Finder, and she has a really dramatic color palette, and I've been told that she's maybe a little too dark, but I love her to bits. The costume sort of blends in with her skin, and I think that's very striking when she's wearing her white cloak. And of course, her head mods with the crystal is really cool, in my own personal opinion. It really doesn't feel like a very long time since I started doing this hobby, way less than a full year. I've had a blast doing these projects and getting to know all my new doll friends. I hope that you guys love watching these videos as much as I love making them. And I've had a few people express to me that they're nervous to make their own videos on making dolls, and my advice is to really just go for it, even if you don't like the way that your dolls always come out, and even if you feel like your projects don't look great. Everybody in this community is so nice, and the end result is really, really rewarding, so my advice would just be to jump in and just start doing it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. I put out a new video every other Thursday. You can follow me on Instagram for more behind the scenes stuff and sneak peeks. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now!